Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What a glorious morning we have, and it's going to be an absolute cracker of a day today. It's going to be hot, it's going to be clear, and it's going to be a perfect Sydney summer's day. It's round about 5:30, and I again got up early to come down here to enjoy this beautiful view and to allow you to enjoy it as well and go on a journey, a vicarious journey with me into learning, into wonderment, and we'll see what we uncover and we reveal today, just like we are waiting to see what sort of sunrise is going to be revealed down here from the International Passenger Terminal. The book review that I want to share with you this morning is entitled Unreasonable Success by Richard Koch, who brings us a list of nine key strategies that have propelled average people into stardom, have made average people into champions and leaders in their field. And the first point that Richard makes is an interesting point and a powerful point, where he says that people who end up becoming successful don't normally plan their success. So it's not an A, B, C, D style of outcome, because we all know that it's virtually impossible to predict anything in the real world and to create something out of nothing. The important thing to understand from Richard's perspective is that people who end up becoming successful in their own right tend to have gotten there because they have developed unique philosophies and unique attitudes that work for them. What they've actually done is they've leveraged the opportunity and the environment around them to achieve a certain outcome. So it's all about having the tools available for you to use, and fate combined with hard work, with a bit of vision, will help you achieve massive outcomes. So there's a few things that have to align, there are a few things that have to happen at the same time in order to achieve the massive outcomes and the massive results that some people seem to achieve in their lives. And let's be honest, not everybody has the ability to make the most of the opportunities that become available, because many people we know are lazy. They procrastinate. They wait for certain things to happen. But what the author here says is that sometimes by waiting, you're going to lose the initiative, you're going to lose the momentum, you're not going to be able to enjoy the prime mover advantage. So here are the 9 traits or the 9 strategies that the author has come about, and we'll discuss them one by one and see what we can learn from them. and how we can incorporate them and use them into our daily lives. So the first thing that the author talks about is the importance of having self-belief, believing in the ability of the fact that oneness, one person can make a massive difference. A lot of people seem to look around at others trying to identify leadership. But I remember once when I was working at IBM, one of the directors there told us, he said, look, nobody has been to the future. In a rapidly changing environment, nobody is in a better position than you are to achieve the unbelievable, to be able to do the impossible. So it's important to have self-belief, because if you believe in yourself, the reality is that once you get started, once you get involved, you will figure it out. You'll need to figure it out, and being in a position to have to figure it out, that pressure, that positive pressure, will help you solve all of the problems that you have, because there isn't a problem that cannot be solved. And each and every one of us in our conscious and our subconscious state have the tools and have the capability of achieving unbelievable outcomes. Because when it's all said and done, we're all operating at about 20% or less of our potential and capability. As a parent, as a grandparent, as a work peer, you see that there are people out there who have got tremendous potential, and yet most people don't tap into that potential because they lack the self-belief. But the author here says to us that sometimes having self-doubt is the fuel that you need to get you propelled into self-belief. Because what happens is, the more you doubt yourself, the more you look for role models, the more you look for answers. And he says here that self-belief comes from role models, and you just don't know who, where, when you're going to come across someone who is going to empower you through their example to go on to take a chance, have a crack, and become the best person in the room to take on a particular challenge. The second strategy that the author talks about is the one of high expectation. It's important to set high expectations and to be around people who encourage high expectation. One of the examples that the author uses in the book is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was, in some circles, considered to be a bully. But what the author here reminds us of is that Steve Jobs wasn't a bully, but what he was that he was a person who had high expectancy and set high expectations for those around him. But he didn't bully the people below him. He didn't bully the people who he didn't think had the potential or had the capability. What he did was he cajoled and he riled the ones above him and the ones equal to him to push them to better performance. And it may have been misconstrued as being harassment and bullying. But as a parent, you understand, you realise that even eagles need to get pushed. An eaglet will get pushed out of its nest by its mother in order to fly, to soar, and to become eagle-like. And so too, it's important to be surrounded by people in our lives who are results driven, who have their own self-belief and have had role models in their life to encourage them to think so and to, push us out of our nest, push us or encourage us, draw us to being experimental and to have a crack at life rather than sitting back and waiting for life to have a crack at us. So this high expectation that the author talks about is also known as the Pygmalion Effect, where if you surround yourself with others who have high expectations, those high expectations, those people who demand high expectations of themselves, the people who demand high expectations of others, will draw us and push us to bigger and better things. So we need to understand that we need to have high expectation, we need to have self-belief, we need to have some self-doubt in the beginning. But when this is married up with action and ability, it can translate into tremendous outcomes and results. The author then goes on to say that a lot of people who become very successful in their lives and their careers have gotten there through a thing called a transformational experience. Something that happens at some point in their lives which opens their eyes, which fills them with belief, with power and with strength, and allows them to use that experience to drive further growth and development, and allows them to, see what is possible and to understand how they can change not only themselves but also many of those around them. J.K. Rowling, for example, was delayed on a trip. She was waiting for a train for 4 hours, and for many people that would be an inconvenience. That would be something that would cause them grief and make them whinge and carry on. But for J.K. Rowling, this 4-hour delay at a train station became her transformational experience, where in those 4 hours there was a coming of age. It was a breakthrough moment for her. It was a time in her life where she was able to conceive and download mentally the theme to her book and to create a character, to create her future. So many of us need to understand that we need to embrace what's happening to us. Sometimes being bored, having nothing to do, having nowhere to go, is in itself a gift, because God gives and sends us gifts that are wrapped in problems. You may look back over your life, and that worst day of your life may end up becoming the absolute best day of your life, because it provided you with an opportunity to have a breakthrough moment. So the next point that the author makes is a lot of successful people make their own trail. They get started, they don't procrastinate, and they realise that sooner or later along the way they'll figure it out. So we need to also look for inspiration around us. There is internal inspiration and motivation, but they're also external methods and modes as well. So a successful person will look for inspiration from within themselves and from those around us. And that's why it's important to embrace our environment, embrace our circumstance, to cooperate, to collaborate. Because by working with other people, by working with other businesses, we tend to be able to solve our biases and clearly see our blind spots. Because through collaboration and cooperation and leveraging OPE, other people's experiences, and OPM, other people's money, we are able to complement and supplement our own strengths and weaknesses. And it's one of those points, one of those strong points that come out of this book. The next point that the author talks about is the importance of thriving on setbacks, having the attitude that a problem is only a stepping stone to a solution. As we know and as we talk about time and time again, every single problem that we will come across in the world, we will be able to solve, because there's not only one, but there are many solutions to every problem. I am comforted in the knowledge that human beings are ingenious. We are teleological in nature, which means that once a problem is posed, we will find not only one, but many solutions. And the best example of that is the push and the solutions that we have come across in a very short period of time when challenged with the pandemic of COVID-19. The author also goes on to say here that we need to thrive on setbacks, because setbacks are a gift. They gift us resilience, and they give us the solutions to help us solve future problems. We need to understand, and I remember learning this at university as a young university student back in 1978, where the professor of economics said that the deeper the recession is, the bigger the economic boom will be. And this author talks about it in similar sort of ways, and he says where the deeper the trough is, the higher the peak. So don't be overwhelmed, don't be worried when you encounter issues, challenges and problems, because they are going to give you the skills and the momentum to be able to solve future problems, and they will energize you and empower you to bigger and better outcomes. The last point that comes from this book is the importance of using intuition, the hidden knowledge that we all have inside of us. This hidden knowledge, this intuition, is our conscious, is our subconscious, working in a magical way to give us guidance, to help us understand things that are not easily understood, to enable us to achieve foresight using our mind's eye, and not necessarily listening to and taking the things around us for granted. Because we are all called to action from this author, and that call to action is to distort reality, to make the impossible possible. And this is one of the traits and one of the strengths and the skills that people have who end up becoming successful, that they don't take the current status as being real, as being limiting. They can see the impossible becoming possible. And as we said, visionaries like Steve Jobs created the impossible. Bill Gates created the impossible by just doing, by just being there, by pushing, by raising the standard, by taunting the people around him and raising the standard for them as well. Because at the end of the day, we said as before, nobody's been to the future. Nobody knows what is possible. And because we all live our lives and are operating at about 20% of our potential, we see it time and time again. I was watching the Olympics, the Winter Olympics last night, and you see people who are not favoured to win an event, who just push themselves and just bring out an extra X factor, which is absolutely remarkable and just shows through sport, through business, through everyday challenge, that average people can become extraordinary in every aspect. So thank you very much for joining me on this morning episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's an absolute glorious morning here at Circular Quay. I love kicking my day off. Every day I love to get out and about, get up early, get up half an hour early during my work week to come down to do a 5am club, to do a book summary where I can share the beauty of this most magnificent city that I live in with all of my friends and family, so that they too can vicariously join me on this epic journey in this wonderful city, this beautiful city, and be part of each other's growth and development, be partners in learning, be one with each other's journey, where we attach the unknown to the known, learn something new, something that we can incorporate into our lives, something that we can apply to solving the many challenges that we may face on a daily basis. So once again, wishing everybody a happy Wednesday, a happy hump day, and hopefully this book summary that we just went through can be the start of something new for each and every one of us. Yassas, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. This is James, this is Jim from Jim's 5am Club signing off yet another time. Bye for now.